Kenney.nl, Jerry from Bliz Studio. And what am I going to be working on in this particular demo? We are going to be looking at putting together a skateboard game. And with this skateboard game, we'll have 3 lanes that the user can move through. So the far left, the middle, and the right side. And you'll be able to switch back and forth. So you're going to be directly in one of those lanes. We're also going to go ahead and set up a few little assets that we'll pull in to use for the game. We're going to be looking at Kenney.nl. So these assets are free for you to download. And then we're also going to go to Mixamo to download a character with some animations that we can use as our skateboarder. Then I'm also going to create a skateboard in ProBuilder directly in Unity. And if you like these tutorials, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and that little bell icon down there so you know when the next video is available. If you're ready to get started, let's go. In. So let's go. I'm going to add a new empty game object called player. All right, so we've got that set up. I'm also going to take the main camera and attach it to that folder or that empty game object. And then I'm also going to add my model to that. So let's go add jumping. And we're going to rename this to be player. Or skateboarder. Cool, there we go. So we've got that set up. And now let's go into our scene and we need to find our skateboarder. And where's he at? Let's go find where that character is at here. He's a little off. So let's get him kind of down where he needs to be. And we need to bring him back. So let's go with the Z-axis of right about there. And of course, we need him to be down on the ground. So currently he's a little bit high. And there we go. That looks pretty good. And maybe make the scale just a little bit bigger. So we'll take the scale up by maybe 2. Maybe a little bit big. Let's go 1.5. Cool, I think that looks perfect. All right, so we've got our skateboarder in there. We need to go ahead and create a skateboard for this guy to be on. So we could just use 3D game objects that are by default here in Unity, but I might as well go ahead and use ProBuilder. So I have a cube started here. Let's go and find where that cube's at. I think my axis is off slightly. And that looks good. Let's get this kind of where the player is. Yeah, there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and just scale this down slightly. There we go. And it needs to be a little bit longer and less wide. So let's go with the scale on the X here to be a little bit less wide. Cool. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's looking good. I need to move my player up slightly. So he's actually on my skateboard. And then I need to make my skateboard longer. So what I'm going to do is using ProBuilder, I'm just going to take the plane that's here, the face, and then I'm going to drag that out slightly. And I'm going to hit Shift Drag, which brings out another portion of that. So it's a second portion, so you can see that there. And I'm going to tip that up slightly. So I'll just move that up. So we've got the kick plate on the skateboard, and I'm going to do the same thing on the front. holding down Shift to bring out another portion. And then I'm going to use scale to scale that down slightly. So there we go. And maybe bring that up just a little bit too. There we go. Okay. Maybe not the most perfect skateboard, but it works. All right. So the next thing I want to do is add another ProBuilder shape. And what we'll do is do a cylinder. And this way we'll have this for the wheels. Now, currently I have it set up as the number of sides as 6. Oh, I need my ProBuilder editor shape up here real quick. There we go. And the way for me to fix this is to set up the number of sides. So currently I have the number of sides as 6, so it's a hexagon. If I just increase that, you can see that now it becomes round. So I can probably get away with less than 30. Let's just do 20, maybe even 15. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And then radius, we'll take that way down so it can be more of a skateboard wheel. And that looks pretty good. And the height, I can take that down too. Let's maybe do 0.2. Okay, so I need to go ahead and build that shape. And now we have that shape built. And I need to go ahead and rotate it here. And not on the x-axis, I need to rotate on the z-axis, I think. So it's a little bit sideways. Let's go 90 degrees. There we go. And then kind of need to get that placed where it's supposed to be here. Yeah, that works. Maybe down slightly. Create another one. And currently those are clipping below the plane, so I'm gonna actually have to move those slightly. I'll move the character up as well, and the skateboard, and we'll create those back wheels. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just attach those to the cube, and we'll call this skateboard. And then I'm also going to parent that to the player, or make it a child game object. So now I can move the whole player up so that we're not clipping through. Perfect. There we go. So now we've got our skateboarder. Okay, so now we are ready to get our character to. So there's a few things we need to do to get this set up. First, we need to have our player have a rigid body. So I'm going to add a component. Again, this is the kind of parent object for the camera, the skateboard, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to have a rigid body attached to that. So that is going to allow us to use gravity. We also need to set up a collider. So we're going to set up a collider and add a collider component. And let's go box collider. I think that will work for us. And then my box collider is way down there, and we need to go ahead and change the position of that collider. So let's go edit collider, and we want to move where that's at. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. All right, so now let's go ahead and get our character to move. So what we're gonna do is we also need to make sure the plane is set up as well. So I've got a mesh collider on it, but I also need to set up a box collider. Oops, I also need to set up a rigid body for this so that those two have actual physical presence. And I do not want to use gravity in this, and I also want to use is kinematic. So kinematic is where it won't move. So let's go ahead and now give this a try. Make sure our player kind of like stands on the ground or sits on the ground, and that works. Cool. So now let's get it to move. So what we're going to do is we're going to set velocity. So I need to set up my player, and I'm going to add an FSM. So we're going to create an FSM here for my player, and we're just going to do a move forward in this. And this is just going to get the character to move down the scene. Again, our camera is attached to our character, so wherever our character goes, the camera goes. So we're going to set velocity on this, and we're going to set it to in the Z-axis, which is in and out. So this one, sometimes I have to kind of like figure this part out. So let's go with 5 as our velocity. Now let's just give this a try to see what happens. And what happened is that my character didn't go anywhere because I didn't set the velocity every frame. So we need to make sure we have that checked. And now let's give it a test. Whoa. Okay, so now my character kind of like rotated forward. So what we need to do is to go to our player, and in the, let's see, rigid body, what we're going to do is add some constraints here. So we're going to freeze rotation on the X, Y, and Z. And I think we're fine on position. So let's go ahead and give that a try. And there we go. So now our character is moving down the street. So it's probably just a little bit on the slow side. So what we want to do is increase that. Let's just double it and see what happens. And that's probably still a little bit on the slow side. Let's maybe bump that up to 20. Yeah, that's looking pretty good, I think. Cool, so we have that happening. Now I'm gonna add a second FSM. The reason I'm gonna add a second FSM is because I wanna be able to handle these separately. So first I wanna go ahead and name this one. This is just move forward. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add a second FSM. So this FSM is just gonna handle moving the character left and right. So what we're gonna do is add FSM to player. So here it is, now has a second FSM. We're gonna go ahead and label this as well, just give it a name, and move left, right. So that way we can have 2 different FSMs doing 2 different things. And what I'm gonna do is to, first I need to get some key inputs. So what we're gonna do is to, let's see, start center. And then we need to kind of set this FSM so that we can move our character left and right. And what we're gonna do is to, I think I'm gonna use an iTween move. So we're gonna listen for some inputs. So that's what we need to do. So let's get key down. So get key down right here. So we're gonna listen for get key down. We're gonna listen for our right arrow key. So let me just scroll down till I find my right arrow key and left arrow keys. I'm gonna need both of those. So get key down for right, and then also one for left, or left and right. There we go. So we have that set up, and now we need to go ahead and set up what's gonna happen when they go somewhere. So we need to set up 2 events. Actually need to set up 3 events. So let's go move left. I'm also going to do an add event for move right. And then we're add one more for move center. Might as well, right? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so if we do a key down here, we want to send an event of move left because we're hitting our left arrow key. So move left, and it's saying, hey, you don't have a transition for that. So we need to go ahead and just, if you click on that, it'll add a transition for that. And then we're going to do same thing with the right. So we're going to add a event of move right, and it's saying, hey, you don't have one of those either, so we might as well add one. Okay, so now I need to have those transition off to separate states. So move left, might as well go ahead and have that off to the left. So I'm just holding down my command key on my Mac or control on PC, drag that out, and now we can create a new state, and we'll call this left. I'm going to do the same thing on the right. And we'll do something like that. Cool. All right. So we've got those kind of set up. So I have my character currently in the center. And so if we go left, we want to move our character left one. So what we're going to do is let's see, how far do we need to move our character? So I'm going to go up to my transform here and just change position on the X. Let's say -5, and then we'll do a +5 for on the right. So here we want to move our character over by 5. So I'm going to do an iTween event for this. So we'll go iTween move 2, and we're going to use the owner. And we're going to do a vector position, and I'm just going to expose the X, Y, and Z here, and we're just going to move it over -5 on the X axis on the left here. And then it's just going to sit there. And how long do we want to take? I don't want it to be very, very long, so let's maybe go 0.4 seconds. And let's just give that a test real quick to see what happens. So here we have our character moving, and I'm going to hit the left arrow key. Whoa! Nope, that wasn't right. Oh, I don't want to do a move to. I want to do a move by. So let's take that off. And we're going to do a move by instead. So move to means it's going to move to that position. And we don't want to move to that position. We just want to move by -5. So from wherever our current position is to a -5. Or subtracting or adding that. So instead we'll do a vector of -5 on the x-axis. Okay, so let's give that a try. And there we go. So now he's moving to -5. So we definitely going way too slow though. So let's do a 0.3. And I think even -5 might not be far enough. Yeah, I think that works pretty good. So let's maybe go -8. Give that a try. Sometimes this is just trial and error, you know. There we go. Okay, so we have that moving over to the left. Now we need to also then be able to move back to the center and then also move to the right. So let's do the right here real quick. We need to also do the same thing, a move by. So I'm just going to copy that action and paste it over here. And instead of a -8, we'll make that a +8. So let's try that real quick. So we're moving down the lane and we move it. Yep, that works pretty good. I think my character is kind of a little off to the right, but I'm just going to rock it. Cool. So now we have a move left and a move right. We need to actually then be able to move our character back to the center position. So what I'm going to do is to also listen for key inputs. And if we're on the right, we only want to be able to listen to the left key input. So what I'm going to do is to get key down left arrow. So we're only going to listen to that action. and I need to add a move left action here, event, and I'm going to transition back to a move center state here. And the reason I'm doing this instead of having it within this center position, because I want to be able to use this for both of these, so both left and the right. So let's go move to center. And then I'm also going to add a finished state. So once I've moved the character to the center, then I'm also just going to go transition back to the center and where we're listening to left or right again. So here we are moving by. Here we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to move by a -8. Yeah, I think I'm going to do this. Have it be a -8 to move back to the center, and I'll just need to do the same thing. So I'm going to copy this action. I'll paste that action down, and we'll call this move to center 2, which is fine. And then here we need to move right. So I want to go down here. And in this action, again, go back to finished to the center. And then here we're going to do a +8. So we're starting in the center. If I hit the left arrow key, we're moving over to this state that then allows us to move our character a -8 on the x-axis. Then I still need to listen for a get key down, left or right arrow key. So we're going to add that over here. Move right and transition right, which we go to move to center. So we're going to do a +8, which moves us back to the center. Then we're back here. Then if I hit my right arrow key, we're going to go to the right. Then if we hit our left arrow key, we're going to go back to move to center, which moves us back. So we should have a nice little loop that allows us to stay in one of 3 lanes. So let's give this a try real quick. So move left, move right, move right. There we go. So now we are moving within our lane structure. Heck yeah. Yeah, this is awesome. Hey, again, if you like these tutorials, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and that little bell icon down there so you know when the next video is available. Also, check out some of my other tutorials. Hey, in part 2 of this demo, what we accomplished was we added a player to the scene, the player that we downloaded from Mixamo, and then we also created 2 Playmaker FSMs. One of those for movement, which makes our player go forward, and then the second, which we allowed our player to move left and right within 3 lanes. So now if you're in the center lane, you can move left or right. If you're in the very left lane, you can only move right. And if you're in the very right lane, you can only move left. And in part 3, we'll start to look at setting up the animation system to allow us to then also jump. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and that little bell icon down there so you know when the next video is available. Till next time, peace.